Hey guys, today we're making a shrimp and lobster alfredo, and I'm gonna take you with me while I do that. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna start off with the ingredients that we used. First, we have the shrimp, which is a main ingredient, lobster, of course. I'm gonna be using sweet pepper, onions, and for our seasonings we're going to be using black pepper, we're going to be using Maggi fish and all-purpose seasoning as well. We're going to be using paprika, also some chili powder and crushed pepper flakes. Don't forget the garlic powder. Garlic powder is really good. Parmesan cheese, a Mexican blend of cheeses. We're gonna be using heavy cream, which is major ingredient for the sauce. Of course, we have to have a little salt on hand. And the pasta that we're using today is the linguine number 13. All right, so we're gonna start out by seasoning our seafood. Black pepper, and I'm seasoning both at the same time, both the shrimp and the lobster. So we're going to use some black pepper, and I mean, while you're seasoning, just freestyle it. You know your taste, don't be afraid to taste as you go along. Using some fish seasoning, and the fish seasoning I'm just using for the seafood itself. Gonna be using some all-purpose seasoning now, just opening it there. So just sprinkle as you feel led. All right, next we're going to be using paprika, chili powder, crushed peppers, again, remember to season as you are led, and don't be afraid to add a little bit more if you feel like. Go with that gut feeling that you're having. So I'm going in with some garlic powder now. Sprinkle on the shrimp, then on your lobster meat. And it was a lobster tail that I had that I diced and is now seasoning. Now we're gonna mix the seasoning with the shrimp. Ensure you give it a good mix so that the shrimp gets a good spread of all the flavors that we've added to it. All right, mix up your lobster now. And the lobster meat is easy to stick to each other, so don't be afraid to separate so that you can mix the seasoning in properly. Until you're satisfied. Once you're done mixing the seasoning, we're gonna move to boiling our pasta. And again, we're using linguine today. The hardest part about this is selecting the right amount of pasta to put in the pot. It took me some time to feel like I was adding the right amount. So once you're satisfied with the amount of pasta, get everything in the pot. The pasta will soften and eventually get in the pot. So leave your pasta to boil, but check on it after about 10 minutes. You want your pasta to be perfect, al dente, not too soft, not too hard. All right, so now we're going to cook our seafood using butter. I'm starting with the shrimp. Not gonna cook both at the same time. I'm gonna cook the shrimp first, just allowing the butter to heat up properly. Started to add the shrimp individually, but that would have taken forever, so I just threw that in there. But you just want to ensure that your shrimp is spread properly in the skillet. And shrimp doesn't take long to cook. You don't want to overcook your shrimp because it will be rubbery and hard, and that's not cool. So cook your shrimp about 5 minutes on either side. Allow it to, take up the flavors of all the seasoning that we've added. And after 5 minutes on the first side, we're gonna flip the shrimp and allow it to cook for another 5 minutes. Once your shrimp is done cooking, we're going to move to the lobster. I'm going to add a little bit more butter. And then throw the lobster in. Be sure to separate it as much as you can because remember the lobster meat sticks. So try separating it. At that point I realized I needed a little bit more butter. You don't want the lobster to stick to the pan. And allow that to cook properly. Again, the lobster doesn't take long either, so allow that to cook properly for a few minutes until you're satisfied. Once your lobster is done, we're going to move on to making our sauce. And again, starting with some melted butter. Then we're gonna saute our seasoning. I would have chopped some sweet pepper, onions, and Scotch bonnet pepper. And just gonna allow that to saute for a little bit. Now we're going to go in with our heavy cream, and this is the main ingredient for the sauce. You may want to add a little bit more depending on the amount of pasta that you ended up with. So allow that to simmer a little bit, and we're also going to season the sauce with the spices that we used earlier. So we're going to use some black pepper, paprika, chili powder, and some more pepper flakes. Also all-purpose seasoning and garlic powder. The good thing about cooking for yourself is that you can flavor to your liking. So don't be afraid to taste as you go along. so you know what you may need to add to make your sauce in the way that you like it. So I added some extra heavy cream and went in with some more seasoning here, all purpose, chili powder, black pepper, paprika, pepper flakes, and we're going in again and mixing that around. Taste again, don't be afraid to taste. And I decided it needed a little bit of salt, and that's the first time I was using salt for this meal. And went in with a little bit more garlic powder and some all-purpose seasoning just to give it that really rich flavor. Now we can add our cheeses. So I am using some Parmesan cheese as well as the Mexican blend, and you determine how much cheese you want to use. Mix it around, the cheese will melt really quick, and add your shrimp and your lobster now to the sauce. And let that simmer a little bit. Now we're going to add our pasta. So the video cut right here, but this is what it is looking like. And at the last minute, my sister and I decided to make some garlic bread. And I'm just using melted butter, garlic powder, some black pepper, and a little Parmesan cheese. You can add parsley to this mixture. I didn't have any, unfortunately. And just spread your butter sauce over your bread. By the way, I'm using hardo bread. I cut 2 slices of bread in 4 pieces each. So I have 8 pieces of garlic bread here. So spread your butter evenly across the surface of the bread. Turn it on the other side and do the same. And this is how it came out. Crispy and nice. And trust me guys, this was very garlicky and yummy. The pasta turned out so good, guys. The flavors were so rich and really nice. If you decide to try this, comment below and let me know how it turned out. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.